Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. I don't know why, but Selma seems to be a hot spot for marches these days. It seems like everybody is running to Selma. Everybody. So there was recently a march on Selma, and this time it was our people. And they were marching because they were unhappy with the Supreme Court's ruling on the Voter Rights Act. So they went out and protest. It was, they said a few thousand people showed up. And the one notable thing is the media did not report on it. Well, you got to understand these billionaires that own the media are in bed with Donald Trump. So I'm not surprised they did not cover it. Now, I'm going to show some of it. I noticed the vast majority of the crowd were older people. There were some young, but the older people kind of dominated in this particular march. The thing is, Donald Trump, if he could take voting away from the community, he would, because he knows the vast majority don't vote Republican. So it is nothing for him to mess with the Voting Rights Act. He doesn't care about it. He really don't. But, a lot of these older people that are devout Democrats, they are concerned about it. And you can see, because one of the things that was in the autopsy on the DNC is how they could not connect to young voters. So that's why I'm not surprised it was not a lot of young people in this march. So it is what it is. I guess this is significant if you're still focused on voting, which I believe a lot of these people are. But if you're not, because you clearly understand the Democratic Party are not going to do anything for us, then, you know what I mean? Yeah. Uh, oh, Kels, 51710. You got your order? Well, good. I'm glad you did. Hopefully, you will love the hair products. All right, y'all. Let me share my screen. All right. Before I do, I just want to do a reminder that the 40% off sale is still going strong. So you can grab up your products. Remember, if you need the promo code, it's 40 weekend. If not, because it already deducts the amount off if you go to Etsy. Shopify and TikTok shop, same thing, 40% off. So get your orders in, get your orders in, and get these hair products at a discount. All right. All right, y'all. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Boy, you can tell Alabama is a racist place because they still got this bridge named after a hardcore racist, Edmund Pettus. Please, y'all should have been changed the name of this bridge. But I guess if you got all kinds of racist people running everything, then yeah, I guess the name is still there, right? Thank you for the ones.
We have big news right now. Thousands of people are currently marching in Selma, Alabama, in protest of the United States Supreme Court gutting voting rights, and specifically the Voting Rights Act Section 2. This video is from Defiance Dispatch on Instagram. They're on the ground and they're showing you literally thousands of people marching in Selma, Alabama. You have many more that are going to be protesting later today in Montgomery, Alabama as well. And the message is simple. Right now, in the South, Republican led legislatures are working to dilute Black power by eliminating Black majority districts in states like Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, and likely elsewhere. And it all happened because of the United States Supreme Court's decision in Calais that gutted the Voting Rights Act, Section 2. We're going to have thousands and thousands of people protesting today. I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
I've been seeing questions regarding the media, the mainstream media, wondering why they're not airing the march that happened this past weekend in Selma. And that's because the media is owned by the billionaires, the ruling class, and big corporations. They control what we see. These white owned mainstream media outlets don't want to show Black people mobilizing. They don't want to show Black people coming together and demanding for real change because they know that it will wake too many people up, and that's what they fear. They rather airwave nonsense that keeps people divided and distracted while they stack their money. And that's why it's so important to organize, because capitalism works hand in hand with white supremacy and racism. And that's how it's always been done. And that's how it will always continue to operate. And nothing will fundamentally change when you refuse to confront the root problem. And that's capitalism. It's racism too. But when you refuse to confront capitalism, you also refuse to confront white supremacy and racism. And when you refuse to confront racism, you're not confronting capitalism at all. And to think about power, real power will never come from these news stations or the billionaires or the ruling class and these big corporations, because they're the ones holding on to the power. They're the ones hoarding all the wealth. But it's time for the people to take that power back and put it back into the hands of the people. And we do that through organizing. But overall, this is just my insight and how the system works and why the media does what it does.
So there was major civil rights protests taking place in Selma, Alabama this weekend, and I didn't make a video on it when it first happened because honestly, I was just so fucking mad and angry seeing elderly Black people having to go out there and protest and fight for something that they were already fighting for 60 years ago. It's like, why the fuck are we regressing as a country to the point that we have to do this shit again? And it's like all of the people that always act like this shit is not that deep. Racism is dead. You guys are always looking into shit. You guys make everything about race. Like, I will never fucking forgive you people because you people wanted to lay bed with white supremacy and white validation and everything about it. It's like now we are seeing elderly Black people that were out there in the front lines in the 60s being back out there in the front lines in 2026. And that shit breaks my fucking heart. And it's like, it's one of the main reasons why I make the content I make now. And it's like to spread awareness. And it's like, yes, America was built off racism. And until we fix and address the racism in America, shit is never going to get better. Shit's never going to get fixed. And yes, a couple of people will get by, or yes, there's going to be some successful Black people. But in the grand scheme of things, they are trying to tear down our whole fucking people. They are trying to do anything in our power to hold us back. That's why 300,000 Black women lost their jobs last year. This is an attack on Black America. So I hope everyone has taken it serious and is now open and aware to the fucking racism that goes on in this country still in 2026 and starts taking shit serious. Because if we do this, it ain't that deep. Oh, racism is dead. Y'all just look too much into it. I'm gonna have an aneurysm because enough is enough. Like, I was so fucking angry having to see these people that were on the front lines in the 60s now being on the front lines in 2026. That shit broke my heart.
So 61 years later, Selma, Alabama, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, they marched across this bridge. And the police in Alabama beat them for protesting for their rights. The black people of Alabama could not take it anymore. They took to the streets, they organized, and they marched across this bridge. I'll try to get you a better view there. 61 years later, they've had to do it again because of the redistricting that they're doing to take away the voting rights of black people. I don't think they're sitting this one out. This isn't the 98% to 92% that said they're going to sit back and watch. Now they're going against their rights. They're taking away their rights. They have said that they want to take away the amendments that protect the rights of black voters. And today they all came out and marched across that same bridge. They were not welcomed by police. They were welcomed by cheers.
That got me the other day was my aunt, who participated as a foot soldier, said, and she was in pain. And she said, Clyde, why in the world do they hate us so much? Well, she participated in all those marches. And it just sort of hurt my heart to hear her say that at 92 years old.
That was from the Edmund Pettus Bridge Saturday. Because 61 years after Bloody Sunday, we're still marching across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, fighting for voting rights for black people. What gets me is that we have people who will jump on social media and criticize and say there's nothing being done to secure the voting rights of black people or other marginalized groups, as they sit on their couch at home and do nothing except criticize what is taking place by others. Tell that bald head anyway. Have stood on, marched across, and joined with various people on the Edmund Pettus Bridge several times just in the last few years alone. And here's the thing. What gets me also is that people who think that the 1965 Voting Rights Act is no longer needed in a country that for hundreds of years denied black people the right to vote simply because of the color of their skin. Voting Rights Act didn't just come under attack with this ruling on April 29th of this year. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 has been under attack every year since it was signed into law. And if that's not bad enough, we have to deal with Rocket Raccoons getting in front of a mic and doing the work of white supremacy for them.
The reality is this. Black people's voting is not in danger, and you know it's not. And you know it's not. I'm 63 years old. I've been voting since I was 18. I have never had a problem voting. Now, that may apply to my mother and father. It applies to my grandparents. Surely it does. And in fact, because it does, every single person in this room, including that Jewish lady that just got up and talked, need to really be thanking us.
That's what it sounds like when a Rocket Raccoon is the mouthpiece for white supremacy. Because anyone who knows that voting is about representation. Even if we have gotten rid of the poll tax and the guessing amount of jelly beans in a jar that has happened in my lifetime, voting is about representation. And the minute after the United States ruled in this 6-3 decision to put another nail in the coffin of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, states in the South hurry up and resubmitted voting district maps, gerrymandering, that eliminated black districts. Yeah, they did that within 24 hours of this decision. So you Rocky Raccoons was saying. So personally, I think if you're a white supremacist, if you're a racist or a bigot, or if you're a mouthpiece for white supremacy like Rocky Raccoons and others are, you should personally have a bunch of seashells thrown at you. Yeah, I said what I said. Y'all have the day you deserve.
Go vote! Go vote! Go vote! Go vote! Go vote! May 19th! Go vote!
What we are seeing in the wake of the Supreme Court decision is a coordinated effort to erase our hard-fought progress and to silence the voices of Blacks and minorities.
All right. Yeah, I mean, look, the media don't want this seen, but I thought I would at least show you what happened. People did respond to the ruling that came from the Supreme Court on the Voting Rights Act. And yeah, so you can see a lot of these people up in age are very upset about the ruling and all the redistricting going on. And, there's a lot of people in Congress that are losing their seats. And hey, it is what it is. Politics is going to continue to change, and as for the Democrats, maybe if you were there for us in this moment, the people would have been there for you. But y'all wanted to act like a bunch of old ornery people that don't have time for anybody. So now you just got to get out the way as they redraw the maps. What else can you do? And as for the Republicans, only a sucker has to cheat. See, if you got to cheat, you are a sucker. All right. And it goes to show you you don't have what it takes to win. That's why you got to redraw maps and get people out of seats in order to win. Nobody ever respects the cheater. Yeah, you might get those seats. You might even win a little, but you will never have the respect. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I deeply appreciate it. And we will come back again. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to come back this evening. I am still working on orders so they can all go out first thing Tuesday. But if there is something that comes up again, I will probably schedule it more than likely after 9 o'clock. So, y'all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. And I will see you on the next live. Shalom, family.